listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, original people reciprocity, and original people positivity. The Narrative Podcast promotes positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture. The Narrative Podcast provides positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome all my narrators. Alright, so it is the weekend. Another full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Not gonna lie, it was a very long day, family, and I kinda, took a little extended siesta. So my goal is to do these uploads at a reasonable hour. So to start recording around probably no later than 5 p.m. So I'm starting recording after 10. So to get this on platforms, I'm going to have to just dive into the content before midnight. I want to get it uploaded before midnight, finish recording. So, having said that, welcome to the Narrative Podcast. So, we're switching up the format this evening. Usually how I start things off is I give the listeners a brief overview of the Narrative Podcast before diving into the content. So the reason why I give a brief synopsis of the Narrative Podcast is better familiarize the listening audience with my format so they can follow the content better. But I'm going to skip that tonight because I'm recording so late in the evening and I want to put it out there before midnight. It's only going to be about 20 or 30 minutes before midnight, but every little minute counts. So I have my act together next weekend. I don't know what happens on the weekend. I can't even blame any other circumstance other than myself for not being prepared, because I had all my notes together. I don't know what happened. But anyway, so like I said, we're going to switch the format up a little bit. I'm going to just kind of dive into the content. Fortunately, no more deaths have happened in our community in the entertainment industry, so I don't have to pause for a moment of silence. Not that I ever have an issue doing that for our brothers and sisters in the entertainment industry, but it'll help me get things off to a quicker start. I do have enough time to plug my projects, everything that I would, want the listeners to support. I'm not going to plug all my projects. I'm just going to plug the podcast itself. And then I'm well over 300 episodes in, and you will know everything else I would like to promote. So how you support the Narrative Podcast is to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm Halsey Allen on YouTube. And what you want to do is you want to subscribe to my channel. Click the notification button all. And the way you support the Narrative Podcast on YouTube is obviously, like I said, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure your notifications are enabled, and hit that thumbs up like button for all episodes of the Narrative Podcast. Also leave me a comment in the comment section, and also share all episodes of the Narrative Podcast across all social media platforms. And that's, how you support me on YouTube. Some more supporting details for that is this is my viewer channel. I don't have a specific channel designed for the Narrative Podcast, so it's just my viewer channel. And to listen to episodes of the Narrative Podcast while unsubscribed to the channel, just click the videos. After you subscribe, you should get the notifications when new episodes premiere. Yeah, go into my videos. That's, my only content that I have uploaded to YouTube. Everything else is just user. It's just my user and watch history. The only thing I have uploaded is episodes of the Narrative Podcast. And then my complete profile name on YouTube is Halzie Allen at Halzie, HALLZY-J96I. That's my user profile on YouTube. So support the Narrative Podcast on YouTube by subscribing to the channel, enabling your notifications for new uploads of the Narrative Podcast, hitting the like button, which is the thumbs up icon, commenting in the comment box, and sharing episodes of the Narrative Podcast across all digital platforms, whatever platform that you would like to upload content to. Make sure you're doing that. Appreciate it. And the next way you can support the Narrative Podcast is to follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. And what you want to do is, I don't know how the notifications are enabled on X, formerly Twitter, but what you want to do on that platform is to just look out for new episodes of the Narrative Podcast, the link to the Narrative Podcast. When you go to my page, Halzie Allen, HALLZIE, Allen, ALLEN. And how you know it's my page is it's a copy of my book of poetry titled The Black Card. And when you're on my page on Twitter, click on the link to the Narrative Podcast. As I said, when I begin recording, it just automatically uploads to YouTube and X. If it appears on any other social media platform, it's because I have to manually do it. But this platform that I'm on automatically uploads episodes to YouTube and X. So now that you're on X, when you're looking for episodes of the Narrative Podcast, you want to click on the link to the Narrative Podcast, and when you click on the link, it should bring up a full picture of the my Narrative Podcast banner, which is just a picture of a microphone and the Narrative Podcast logo. You click the like button, which is in the shape of a heart. Then it uploads. Then the whole episode fully comes up. You'll see like the whole picture of it. And then underneath that, you want to click the like button again, which is in the shape of a heart. And then next to that like button, you will see like a little clock icon. You want to actually just not even worry about that. You don't have to click on that. Next to that is a comment box. Leave me a comment in the comment section. And then also click the download button, which is next to the comment box. That's the most important thing. You know, it's in the shape of a cloud with an arrow pointing down. You click on that to download the episode of the Narrative Podcast. And that's, you know, the most important way to support the platform is to download episodes of the Narrative Podcast. And then after you've downloaded the episode, which takes like less than 10 seconds, you want to share it back on all social media platforms. And then just to be clear, this is a message for my visual content creators. Anybody that does content, uploads content using a camera, like, you know, Facebookers, YouTubers, Instagrammers, to shout out episodes of, you know, the Narrative Podcast, and make sure it's hosted by me, Halsey Allen. There's just literally podcast titled the Narrative Podcast, like, so nobody can ever get in trouble for copyright. You know, you can, like, I think it's a law where you just can't, like, copyright a name, like, you know. So I don't ever have to worry about that. And nobody else ever using the Narrative Podcast ever has to use it, worry about that. But just make sure it's my podcast, hosted by me, Halsey Allen. And that's it. And that's how you support the platform. I probably plug my other couple projects towards the end. I will tell you this much before diving into the content. The Narrative Podcast is a safe space for original people and original people culture. My mission statement basically is to uplift and edify original people and original people culture by providing positive frames about original people and original culture. And change how we're being perceived across all digital platforms, and basically, you know, change the narrative on how our images and our likenesses are being used by the liberal media across all media platforms. So hence the title of the Narrative Podcast. And I do got enough time for my tagline, the Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original people culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And that's entirely what the Narrative Podcast is all about, providing positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture. Who are original people? What do I mean? I mean our people, black people. I refer to our people as original people on my platform as opposed to black. And the reason why is historically accurate. We were and are the first people, you know, on the face of the earth. And we originated all art forms, all, you know, scientific practices. The original inventors, original scholars. Pretty much we mother and father civilization. So that's a historical, accurate description of our people. And then also to unify us as a people, because there are so many, as our people are so diverse, there are so many different types of us. We all refer to ourselves as different things, but I feel, you know, referring to ourselves as original people unifies us as a people and strengthens our bonds, and also it's more empowering. The term original is more empowering and more impactful. So, you know, we're deserving of that title originally. So now that you're a little better acquainted with the Narrative Podcast, I'm going to dive into this episode, this weekend episode of the Narrative Podcast. Pretty much been broadcasting all week long, 3 days out the week at least, for weekday episodes, so you should be semi-acquainted. On my weekend episodes, it's divided into sections. Each section has a speaking point. I try to time each section because I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast. I don't want to talk to you and bore you to death. So like I said, this is a late upload. I'm going to just get to the nitty gritty and walk you through each section before diving into the section. My first section I'll be presenting to you this evening is the highlight section. And what this section is about is basically a section where I'm promoting black-owned businesses or original people-owned and operated businesses, as I refer to our people as original people on this platform. And the reason why I do that is because we don't have a whole lot of ownership or frames of reference of original people that own their own businesses. The very few frames of references that we have about ownership are tainted with degeneracy as they come on scripted reality television shows. And on these scripted reality television shows, the producers want to project a certain image to the viewers. They want to, play up violence and degeneracy to sell the ratings. So they want to create an environment, an atmosphere where people, prominent people from our communities are caught in ultra rare form. They're caught on camera fighting one another, fornicating, overindulging in alcohol and other substances, just they're caught on camera behaving badly, and it's intentionally done to get the ratings. But meanwhile, what gets lost in transition, the people from our community that they have on these scripted reality television shows are entrepreneurs, they're business owners. They have several companies underneath their brand umbrella. They take care of, each one of their divisions are feeding families, putting food on families' tables, sending, their employees, children, their salary, they send them to good schools. They also give back to the community, provide jobs. But you don't see any of that on camera. All you see is the degeneracy. So that's why, I'm doing the highlight section on my platform. I'm just basically walking you through an entrepreneur's journey, how they came up with their, business, how they started with nothing and was able to essentially, work for themselves. They found something that they enjoy doing, that they love doing, passionate about doing, was able to make more than a sustainable living for themselves, provide for the community, provide for their families, and, live a prosperous life being a business owner. And again, with the media, where as far as our people are concerned, they use propaganda to make us appear a certain way and have us believing that we can't excel, we can't achieve, we're forever going to be downtrodden and disenfranchised. That's what they want to do with these images that they keep circulating about our people and our culture. So, that's why I do the highlight section. Like qualifying criteria that I use to select the businesses that I highlight in the highlight section fall under these guidelines. They're original, people owned and operated, of course. They hire their own. They, do something for the community. They're involved in, philanthropy. They either pay into a nonprofit organization or they have their own nonprofit organization or, some type of outreach that they do for the community that they're located in. And last but not least, they align up with my theme. And my ongoing theme are nationally recognized holidays. So, now that you know about the qualifying factors of, the Narrative Podcast highlight section, we're going to dive on into the highlight section with the first business I will be highlighting. So like I said, my ongoing theme is nationally recognized holidays. And so, all the businesses that I highlight in the highlight section coincide with the nationally observed holiday for that day. So today is September 14th, and today's nationally recognized holiday is Food is Medicine Day. And so the businesses that I'll be highlighting on the highlight section are basically health food eateries. So that's the theme for the highlight section, health food eateries. And the first business I'll be highlighting today in the highlight section is a business by the name of pardon me, I'm mispronouncing the name. Cecily's Raw Reality Vegan Cafe. I believe it's just Cecily's Raw Reality, but it's a vegan cafe. And one of the first of its kind in that area is actually specializes in raw vegan cuisine. Now, what's the difference between raw vegan cuisine and vegan cuisine? Raw vegan is just like whole foods. It hasn't been cooked. It hasn't been processed in any way. It's like just, grown from the earth straight to the plate. They flavor it, all their food, they season it. So if something is cooked, it's very, very minimally cooked, very minimally processed. It might, in raw vegan, you might soak some pecans or soak some cashews to create like a sauce or, a spread. They may use tortilla wraps for sandwiches, but there's absolutely no cooking involved in, raw vegan lifestyle. Before I, walk you through her journey, I just want to point out a few things about it. It's like, well, vegan is just kind of a term. It's a buzz term. It doesn't actually mean anything, but just, it's a lifestyle. It's not really an actual word. It really is reflective of the actual diet of eating plants. So don't get caught up in buzz phrases, but, essentially that's what we should all be eating is whole foods. The human body wasn't really designed to eat meats. So no shade to people to eat meat. But he wasn't designed to eat meat. So all these other buzz phrases like vegan, lacto vegan, and all that is just like, it's just variations of different diets, and they're just buzz phrases. So that's all I want to point out. Don't get caught up into the buzz phrase. Even plant-based is a buzz phrase. It doesn't even refer to actually eating plants. What it's short for is, being plants that have been processed. So when you hear plant-based diet, they're really meaning manufacturing plant, not actual plants growing from the ground. Like when you see a box of crackers and it says plant-based, the plant ceased to be living when they processed it into, some pasta or some carbohydrates or whatever. But anyway, getting long-winded. So like I said, this is a super late upload. I gotta kind of zoom tonight so I can get it uploaded kind of before midnight and distribute it on all platforms kind of before midnight. So I'm going to give you the super condensed version of her journey to becoming a business owner. So Cecily's Raw Reality was established in 2016 by a sister by the name of Cecily Ma'at. It's located on 1059 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard in Atlanta, Georgia. Zip 30310. And then, of course, CeciliesRaw.com is, where you want to go to view the menu. And if you have specific questions about anything about Cecilies, go to info@CeciliesRaw.com. The business hours are Saturday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. They have free Wi-Fi, free parking, and they also, work with Grubhub and Uber Eats. Okay, so Miss Cecily's journey started in 1988 because her second husband was religious. He was Nazarite. So when the Nazarite faith, they have very strict rules. They can't cut their hair. They can't eat any grape products. Anything made, no grape juice, no grape flavored anything. Nothing that has grapes in it. And they can't cut their own hair. They can't eat dead flesh either. So very strict rules for that fact. She's married to him, so you be submissive to, him in their relationship. She submitted to his lifestyle. Didn't eat any meat, but was still eating highly processed carbohydrates, starch. She was consuming a lot of starchy foods in order to, feel full and feel like, you hit the spot from eating like many of us do, like me myself does. So a highly starch diet inevitably will cause, health issues as well. And so after she seen her body was suffering from, complications due to eating too much starch, she cut the starch out of her diet and just stuck to strictly raw food, like, plants grown out of the ground, specifically kale. She incorporated more kale into the diet. I'm going to probably have to reach out to her to ask some questions, because I'm hearing in the health community that, like, kale is not good anymore. Because they said spinach was bad. Dr. Sabi said spinach was bad, and now I'm hearing bad things about kale, because I hear it's like in the same family as poison ivy. But anyway, she specializes in kale, in her raw cooking. But so initially, that's what led her to be just strictly raw, is because she was experiencing health problems, eating too much starch. Now, after so many years of eating the raw diet, a friend of hers had their own recipe, or not recipe, pardon me, own restaurants in that area where she's located now in Atlanta, called Pawpaws. So she introduced her friend to her, lifestyle food of choice, which was raw vegan. And so, the friend found the food to be flavorful, and they enjoyed it. They enjoyed it so much, they would let her make, her, one product, one item every other, like, I guess, month or whatever, every other week or every other month. But the problem was, people was coming to, Pawpaws for her cuisine. They wasn't coming for their friend's cuisine. So, basically, she ended a, friendship. The friend got extremely jealous that the people was coming for her, cuisine, and they stopped being friends. It wasn't a personal attack, but they took it personally. It was just, she knew how to cook. Not saying the friend didn't know how to cook, but, people like what they like. They just, they started coming to their establishment for her cuisine. And the trippy thing was, she only cooked for herself. She, by trade, she was a hairstylist. She didn't cook professionally. She had no desire to cook professionally. She didn't want to cook professionally. She's a hairstylist by trade. So now that, she's well known in the area, she just focuses more on her own, her own beauty salon, or her own way to make money, which is doing hair. How she ended up starting her own restaurant is just she got more popular for her vegan cuisine from Pawpaws. People was approaching her on the street, asking her, how to get her food, which prompted her to just start selling it out of her home. And then after, about 6 months to a year of doing that out of her home, she accumulated enough money, which was just $250. So she essentially stepped out on the faith. Her parents matched her. She found the spot that she's currently located on now, leased that, and now we have Cecily's Raw. Now her journey is much more complex than that, but I just gave you the condensed version because the Narrator Podcast is a time-sensitive platform anyway. But being this is a super late upload, I condensed it even further. But if you want to know her story more in depth, then probably just do your Googles. You can probably go to YouTube and just go to type her name and do interview. But that's essentially how Cecily's raw reality came into fruition. It was just basically her love of loving herself. Now, so being that I started so late, I just forgot to give you a little bit more context of the highlight section. What I'm attempting to try to do is I'm walking you through the business owner's journey. I'm trying to provide you with specific details of their life, where they grew up, how they came up with their idea, what their company is all about. So her company, it's all about people. It's all about an experience. It's an organic experience. She's pro community. She wants people to have their own, be able to sustain themselves financially. She does for the community. She hires the people from the community, so that's how she gives back to the community. Educates people about, the healthy vegan lifestyle. So she's like spreading knowledge, hiring her own people, and creating an atmosphere where you can love yourself and love your neighbor through healthy eating. And that's basically the core of who we are as a people anyway. That's our true nature, kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe. We are, out of everybody on the planet, we are the most connected to nature. So that's the whole purpose of Cecily's, is to help our people, original people, reconnect to nature. Now, I am a little confused about her name. She's Cecilia Ma'at, but it seems like, she's following Hebrew Israelite. So I don't know. But anyway, super positive. Super positive and serving a purpose, serving the community, giving back, providing strong ties. That's what this section is all about. Ownership with a purpose, having a sense of community, and doing for self. That's what the highlight section is all about. She checks all the boxes. So next time you're in Atlanta, Georgia, go to Cecily's Raw Reality and join me in giving our sister Cecily a warm Narrative Podcast round of applause for Cecily's Raw. All right, next business that I'll be highlighting in the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast. Now, this isn't the raw diet, but it is vegan. And they have smoothies and stuff on their menu too. So that they do have some, raw products. They do have some wraps, but primarily the bulk of their food is vegan vegetarian, so it's mostly cooked, mostly processed, but they do have like raw items. They do have like salads and smoothies and wraps. So it kind of lines up with the theme. And my theme is, celebrating the nationally recognized holiday. Food is medicine, and food is medicine actually when you think about it. That's what the powers that be don't want you to know. You can heal yourself with the proper diet. You don't need Western medicine to heal pretty much any illness in the body. There's something natural that can heal you. And that's what they was doing at the turn of the century, really. Especially here in America, when the doc would come to you, and back then it was just journals and logs. They were just learning stuff from the people that lived here, the original indigenous natives. They was learning how to cultivate those herbs and roots and turn them into tonics and elixirs. We didn't have no aspirin. We didn't have any pills to numb the pain. Those was like roots and herbs. So like when you're watching old shows like Little House on the Prairie and Dr. Quinn, Medicine Women, they was using roots and herbs. Roots, herbs, fruits, berries. That's how they was healing people back then. But I didn't mean to go on that side tangent. But the next business I'll be highlighting in the highlight section is a business called Green Seed Vegan. It was established in 2012 by a husband and wife team, Maddie Morrell and her husband, Rodney Perry. I don't know why she don't got his last name, but I don't know. They're together. So Maddie started out her vegan journey in college when she had gained 15 pounds and she went to lose some weight. She just initially started just to lose some weight. And when she saw the weight falling off, she stuck to it, and eventually, she was just transitional. I believe she was probably like vegetarian, then just went all the way to vegan. And Rodney, he started his journey for health reasons. He was having problems with his gallbladder, and so his doctors wanted to put him on Western medicine. He didn't want to take Western medicine, so he knows that the body can heal itself under a proper diet. So he started his journey to become a vegan. So they started out as a food truck. They started perfecting their own recipes, doing their due diligence, just learning as they was going, and start perfecting restaurants, start veganizing, like many people that do the plant-based diet. Look at recipes, normal recipes, sub out, sub out, the meat-based items for the plant-based items, and just kind of play with it. And that's essentially how Green Seed was born. So if you want to find out more about their, another unique thing about their cuisine, before I'm going to tell you their contact info, is that they don't use any soy. There's no soy-based anything on their menu. And for melanated people, Dr. Sebi, as well as, even before Dr. Sebi, George Washington Carver, in his journal, he wrote, "Soy is not fit for human consumption." And when you think about it, soy oil is in like gasoline, paint, a whole lot of toxic things that we use to, for like products for automotives, engines, and surface areas. It's not really supposed to go in our bodies, but there's soy in everything. Now, diets, differ regionally. So on the continent of Asia, they can eat soy, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and live to be well into their hundreds. But it's culturally, regionally, melanated people, we have no business consuming soy on any level. But yeah, so got a little long-winded, but basically what I want to say is all their menu items don't contain any soy, and for that reason, so to check out their menu items, go to greenseedvegan.com, and they're located at 4320 Almeda Road, Houston, Texas 77004, and you can call them at 844-365-8346. And so join me into giving our brother Rodney Perry and Natty Morrell a warm narrative podcast round of applause for their establishment, Green Seed Vegan. All right, keeping things moving right along with the next section here on the Narrator Podcast. This section is called the Spotlight section. In this section, what I'm doing is I'm spotlighting prominent figures in our community that impact our community in a positive way. And what the Spotlight section is all about, it's all about promoting positive reinforcement, because we don't, in our community, unfortunately, we've been brainwashed and conditioned to attack one another online, and they've conditioned us to believe we can't make a sustainable income using digital media unless we're dragging each other through the mud, unless we're talking bad about each other, taking shots at each other, that whole thing. So, these faceless corporations, they make money hand over fist with us being at odds with one another. It's literally like a $1 trillion a year business from us, like going back and forth online, upsetting the algorithm. But the Spotlight section is dedicated to just basically uplifting and edifying our brothers and our sisters for doing something positive. What I'm trying to impress upon people, we can congratulate each other, we can celebrate each other's accomplishments and achievements. We don't have to play the game. We don't have to use our platforms to throw shade at each other. If you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Now, Rodney King once asked a rhetorical question, can we all just get along? And the answer to that is no, we can't. That's just not, natural to always be in agreement with someone all the time. Somebody that agrees with you all the time, everything you do, they always agree with you. They always think you made the right move. Like 90% of the time, that person's full of it. Nobody can agree with somebody all the time. So we're going to have disagreements. We're going to have differences of opinion. We're going to have opposing or conflicting views. But what we don't have to do, we don't have to disrespect each other. We don't have to call each other out of our names. We can civilly agree to disagree online. And that's what everybody else except our people are doing. I'm going to take that back. What it is, the media focuses on us, being at odds with one another. Everybody else is at odds with each other too. They clap back in like the Asian community and the Italian community, but it's just like when they have disagreements, it's just not marketable. Nobody cares. If two white people are arguing back and forth online, it's not entertaining. And throughout history in all forms of media, when we fight each other and argue amongst each other, it's very entertaining for people outside of our culture to sit back and laugh at us fighting each other. As a matter of fact, that's kind of how the sport of boxing became so popular. But anyway, I didn't mean to go off on that side tangent. It's just like the spotlight section is just basically to promote positive reinforcement, of somebody in our community doing something positive for our community, whether it's philanthropy, giving back to the community, social justice, some type of advocacy, or just, being online, speaking on our issues, or just the way they carry and conduct themselves in a positive way. That's what the spotlight section is all about, acknowledging somebody in our community doing something positive and encouraging, everybody else to acknowledge people around them doing positive things and paying people compliments. That's not actually within our culture. Paying somebody a compliment has become a sign of weakness or like being disingenuous, like you're trying to brown nose or suck up to somebody, or like as we call it in our community, D-riding. You ride somebody's D by just paying them a compliment. But that's what the spotlight section is all about. It's just about paying somebody a compliment for doing something positive, something impactful, something that elevates and uplifts our community. Not for nothing, I started the wave for spotlighting. Because before I added the spotlight section to my podcast, the Narrator podcast, nobody was spotlighting anybody. Now, every time you tune into, a discussion, an interview, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on another podcast, whether it be on TikTok, it's a buzz phrase now. They're like, today on the spotlight, we'll be spotlighting, and nobody was readily using the term spotlight before I added the spotlight section to my podcast. And you can fact check, you can cross-reference my episodes. I got almost like close to 400 episodes. When I first started doing this is like during the pandemic, and just see how the term increased across all platforms. So you know, that's the weird thing about social media is somebody's always paying attention to you. I don't even have a visual platform, but obviously people are listening to me. And I got a tremendous reach. I know when famous people are listening to me. I know because, they incorporate what I say, my content, into their content some type of way. Not just what I say, but how I say things, the way I accentuate my words, and all my cadences and my nuances get incorporated into their content. So I don't know why they don't just full on endorse, the Narrator podcast, or why don't they'll shout me out. It is what it is, but I know I'm being paid attention to. I know I'm causing a ripple effect with my content because there's so many people doing it, spotlighting now. So, I'm disrupting the balance in a good way. And that's what the spotlight section is all about. It's all about positive reinforcement. So, that I got so many people, famous people, listening to me and following the example that I'm setting. That makes me feel good. So I'm not in it for the money. If I was in it solely for the money, I'd have quit a long time ago, because there's not, much money in this. Like, the only real way you can make money podcasting is if you get those corporate sponsors, But this is pretty much just a grind. Not even a grind, it's just like a call to action. More for me, it's a call to action, using my platform to spread positivity and try to encourage the listening audience to be positive too. But I said all that to say, I created the way for spotlighting. I got so many people. I'm influencing so many people without even showing my face. Like, that's crazy to me.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
In a real way. So the last thing I want to say about the Spotlight section before diving into the Spotlight section is first of all, I try to alternate each week. One week I try to, I alternate genders. One week I do a female, one week I do a male. So I'm not, being stagnant with the content. And then also, I've pretty much changed up who I spotlight, who I choose to spotlight. Because when I started the spotlight section on the Narrative Podcast, I would reserve the spotlight for celebrities, like, actors, actresses, comedians, recording artists, athletes, just people in all forms of entertainment and social media influencers, and YouTubers, TikTokers, Instagrammers, and that sort of thing. I've really been trying to just spotlight regular people, and the reason why is because I don't want to, fall into the negative stereotype that all our people know how to do is entertain. But without any further ado, diving into the Spotlight section this week on the Narrative Podcast, and the Spotlight for this week goes to a brother by the name of Philip J. Roundtree. Philip J. Roundtree is a motivational speaker and a mental health advocate. He also hosts his own show called Rhetorically Speaking. He's a writer. He's famously known for his TED Talk series, his motivational TED Talks, where he's speaking about mental health issues for men in general, but then specifically men from our community. And the reason why he's getting the spotlight this week is for his advocacy dealing with mental health. Mental health is just not something we original people we partake in. We embrace getting therapy, talking about our problems. We don't do that in our community a lot. And part of it is because we've been betrayed by therapists. Like therapists have used what we're supposed to be telling them in confidence to, as a means to break up our families. So like if you're telling your therapist, if you had a drinking problem, the reason why you drink, you're married, then all of a sudden, boom, 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 the police is coming to do a wellness check. They're grilling your wife, or like maybe, our children when they're going to these public schools, they try to, poke and prod and ask questions and then be like, then now you're dealing with the child protective services because they're asking questions, and like, point being is like, that's kind of one reason why we don't do therapy, because we distrust therapists, because therapists have violated, their confidentiality clauses to disrupt our lives. Another reason why we don't really seek therapy is through religion, unfortunately. So we've adapted a religion that was not traditionally ours to begin with. When we were enslaved, this is like we were forced to serve their God, and through religiously, in our community, we believe you should just give all your worries to the higher power, and you don't have to do anything on your end. You can just receive divine healing in all areas of your life that you have a problem in, whether it's finances, whether it's any form of compulsion or deviation of will. We just supposed to just pray for God, and God's just supposed to fix it. We try to use religion as an eraser. So that's why we don't do therapy, because we believe, if we're having a mental health issue, we could just pray to God, and God will fix that mental health issue. God will fix that trauma, and God will fix that whatever is wrong with you, whatever is like going on in your life. You don't have to do anything on your end of it. So like if you're obese and you pray to God, you like 400 or 500 pounds, and you eat a unhealthy diet, you're just supposed to pray to God, and God's supposed to just suck all the fat off you. You're not supposed to go to the gym, work out, get your weight down healthy. You just pray to God, So that's another prime example of why we don't do therapy in our community, is unfortunately because, we've been like programmed just to, look at God like that, and then also to, shirk our responsibilities through religion. Like we don't have to take any accountability for our own lives. We just put everything on God. Like if something don't happen that we want to happen, like, oh well, God must have had something better for me. Or maybe I wasn't meant to have it. But anyway, got a little long-winded, but the spotlight section, or his work really is centered around mental health advocacy, identifying the problem, not only identifying the problem, coming up with solutions, um, coming up with, keeping the conversation going about mental health, um, like especially for men, because men, like, we're not allowed to show emotions. We got to keep our emotions bottled up. We're not, allowed to discuss our trauma and things that hurt us psychologically. We got to just tough everything out. We can't, be in pain if you like vocally, openly, discuss your pain, then you're being a wimp or a JJ. Stop acting like a punk. That's what men in general have to go through. Like anything going on in our life, we're supposed to be super tough, super rugged, and not be able to, be like, hey, I need a moment. I need some me time. I need to decompress. I need to vent. We don't get to do none of that as men. So this brother is just like saying it's okay. They don't make you less of a man for acknowledging your vulnerabilities and getting the help you need to get over, past traumas and whatever you're currently experiencing. Because this can become a barrier in your relationship if you're, married or dating. That it can spill over into that. It can spill over into your family structure with your children. It can spill over into that if you're not getting therapy. So like everything starts in your mind. Even your eating habits start in your mind, because it forms a negative thought, and you want to crave negative food that is harmful to your body, and then that causes, physical illnesses. This is why they call illnesses dis-ease. When your mind is at dis-ease, then decay starts erupting in your body. So it all goes back to your mind. And to keep your mind strong, you have to stay in perfect mental health. So that's like the nerve center of everything happening in your body is your mind. So you have to stay in good mental health. You got to identify your problems. You got to get through your trauma. You have to, vent and do everything you need to do to stay mentally strong. But like I said, didn't want to get too long-winded. He has many accomplishments. He's got several years in it. He makes mental health, practical. He speaks in his advocacy. He makes it practical. He makes it applicable. He takes out the shame of seeking therapy when you know you need it, especially if you're a man, especially if you're a black man, original man, to get that help. And his whole approach is just like, it's okay. We all got problems. He makes it relatable. He has some like really entertaining anecdotes. He uses like, with his message, is a lot of it is hip hop themed, so it can better relate to the youth. But yeah, that brother is really on fire for mental health advocacy. He got tons of stuff on social media. All you gotta do is plug his name into the YouTube browser. You can follow him on X. You can follow his stories on TikTok. But he's really officially that deal when it comes to mental health advocacy. And then, like I said, check out his reality show, Rhetorically Speaking. and that's who's getting the spotlight section today, this week on the Narrative Podcast Spotlight section. Join me into giving our brother a warm Narrative Podcast round of applause for Mr. Philip J. Roundtree. All right, keeping everything moving right along here on the Narrative Podcast. This section is called the Health and Wellness section. In this section, it's really self-explanatory. I'm speaking about health and wellness. So, I'm giving health and wellness tips to our people. That's my demographic for the for my podcast. I mean, anybody and everybody's welcome to listen to it. But essentially, I'm speaking to our people, original people. And the reason why I'm doing it is because we need it the most. There is an agenda to destroy our people. We're being attacked physically. We're being attacked mentally. We're being attacked spiritually. They're putting harmful things in our food, water, the air we breathe. You know, if you know about chemtrails. If you know about chemtrails, there's putting stuff in the air that destroy us. You know, even grooming products, toiletries, cologne, things cleaning products for our homes, all have chemicals that, are designed to attack our unique genetic makeup. That's on the physical side of it. On the mental side of it, they're mostly incorporating the media to embed and implant negative messages in our psyches, trying to twist and warp the way we view life, we view each other, we view just people in general, how we carry and conduct ourselves. So when violent things happen, erupt in our community, negative things happen and erupt in our community, that's because we've been psychologically programmed and conditioned by the powers that be. There's all kind of research to support that, with these social experiments they conduct with our people, how they psychologically warp and twist our minds using imagery and stuff like remote viewing, where they're implanting things in our minds from a far distance. And then spiritually, like, it's all kinds of spiritual practices being incorporated to attack our spirit, to attach itself to us spiritually. There's like, man, just look at Hollywood. You don't think that's some demonic stuff happening in Hollywood? Like, watch this children's program, watching kids shows these days, like normal stuff, early in the morning. It's everywhere. So on the health and wellness section, I just strengthen our people's minds, bodies, and souls in all the areas we're being attacked. We're also being attacked financially, but I don't give financial tips because I believe health is wealth. You can be a billionaire, but if you're in poor health, none of that money matters. You'll just be in a really fly hospital if you're not taking care of yourself. So it don't matter that you got a Bentley or you're living in a loft or in a mansion with an east and a west wing. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're spending pretty much all your money on medicine and treatment for terminal illnesses. So that's what I, share with in the health and wellness section here on the Narrator podcast. I'm talking about health and wellness tips. On the physical side of it, you usually get, the health benefits of a plant, herb, extract, elixir that strengthen your physical health, as well as some type of physical exercise you can do to stay in good physical health. Also, another tip I would give, like on the mental side of it, how to stay in good mental health, types of mental practices you can incorporate. Then, of course, spiritual tips, how to guard your spirit against spiritual attacks, and, things you can do to live a prosperous life when you have a clean spirit. So, without any further ado, with the health and wellness tip of this week, this is a physical tip, the health benefits of Ceylon cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon, like there's many versions of it, of cinnamon in general. Cinnamon is very, very beneficial to the human body. The most pure version of cinnamon you can get is Ceylon cinnamon. It's typically found in places like Sri Lanka. It's basically the bark of a tree. Everybody knows what cinnamon tastes. It's extremely, sweet. A little bite to it. So, what cinnamon used for is also pretty much for oral health. Now, when it's grown in the wild, we typically grind it up and use it for baking, but in the wild it grows on tree bark, so people, wherever wild cinnamon grows, they just basically chew it for, most of like indigenous native tribes use it as a form of brushing their teeth. They chew the bark to freshen their breath, kill pathogens in the mouth, keep your breath fresh, keep your teeth strong, your gums healthy. That's typically what wild cinnamon is used for. Also to ward off infections. So cinnamon is rich in antioxidants, and if you didn't know, an antioxidant is a fat burner, so you always want to incorporate foods into your diet with antioxidant properties. This is to help burn fat. It's good for your gut health. It's packed full of fiber, so it helps you feel full longer, and also helps you secrete excessive bile build up in your your colon. So like, if you eat once a day, you're supposed to get rid of solid waste once a day. If you're eating twice a day, you're supposed to basically, every time you eat, you're supposed to make solid waste. If you're not making solid waste after you eat, that means you're just like putting food on top of undigested food, on top of undigested food, on top of undigested food. What that undigested food is doing is just big old clumps of undigested food, bacteria, fecal matter, and it's all causing problems in your body. And the problems it can cause is like gout, acne, bad breath, loss of hair, weight gain, bloating, joint pain, and just low energy, feeling tired, feeling sleepy. So all major terminal illnesses can be attributed to poor gut health as well. So you always want to incorporate anything with prebiotic properties into your diet. Anything that helps you alleviate solid waste. You want to incorporate that into your diet, because if you have an over buildup or buildup of solid waste in your body, it's going to lead to health problems. So you always want to go, because it's supposed to have an odor, but it's not supposed to be just so terrible. It's like peeling paint off the walls, and if that's happening, it could lead to like your liver shutting down, kidney shutting down. So you want to stay in good health, gut health at all times. It's good, has good cardiovascular properties. It helps your blood vessels expand, which means your blood will travel quicker in your body. You won't get blood clots. It's also good for your mental health. It helps create new neural pathways in your brain. Good for your cognitive memory, short-term and long-term memory. So, incorporate some Ceylon cinnamon into your diet. It could save your life. And that's the health and wellness tip this week on the Narrator podcast. The next section is called the speaking point section. The reason why I call it the speaking point section is basically I'm talking about current events, things happening in the world. How does it affect us? What's that mean to us? And I'm unpacking whatever is going on in the world from our perspective. And the reason why I do that is because the powers that be will have us making us just seem crazy, looking bad, sounding bad. All kinds of trying to distort our images and our likenesses. So I unpack it from our perspective. There will be some weeks where I don't feel there's nothing to talk about. And in those instances, I just, make a observation and give a PSA. But this week is probably one of those weeks. There's nothing really too poignant, relevant going on in the world I feel needs to be discussed. Yesterday, I broadcasted on broadcast Friday, and I probably just remixed my topic. There was a young brother by the name of Javion McGee. Javion McGee is a Chicago, Illinois native. This young brother was I believe 21 or 22. His birthday was in, it's supposed to be this month, either this month or next month. His cousin did a TikTok and it's going viral. Basically, she started the hashtag revolution, hashtag justice for Javion. And what happened to this young brother is he drove trucks and they found him hanging from a tree somewhere in North Carolina. And so, of course, they was giving them the runaround, giving them conflicting stories. They said they couldn't investigate because of COVID. Then they said, a whole lot of stories. She did a TikTok. Her TikTok handle is Scotty Primpin, and that's who kind of broke the story to the world. You can follow her on TikTok, and I'm pretty sure she'll be posting updates about Javion and the situation. And we need to keep this we need to keep this in the media. We need to keep this conversation going, because this is a blatant, visual attack against our people. So it's a visual attack on so many levels. Like, he was that young, number one, a young man. So he could have been, a savior in his community. He was driving trucks, just got a CDL. So making good money, on the way of becoming a homeowner, on the way of, developing financial independence. So with a bigger tax bracket, you want to be able to do more things at that early of an age. If you get some, if he had good people around him to give him good financial literacy, buy up land, property, the things that matter in life, some real tangible resources, and then learn enough about the trucking industry to where he can start his own, trucking company. And I think that's where he was on the way of doing, like at 22, because you're young, you got that ambition, you have that drive, you got that determination, and then his life gets cut short. So we don't even know what he could have been in the future, what he was on the way to be. That's the biggest reason why I find that so devastating, is because he was so young. There's all kind of potential there. They singled him out, hung him from a tree. Just last year, they hung a sister from a tree, Yolanda Ubrin. She was not only hanging in the tree, she was half naked in her panties, broad top panties, hanging from a tree. So this is what they used to do to our people. If you didn't know, or if you forgot, they used to lynch us. They used to have whole social gatherings to watch us hang from the tree. But when we got out of line, or just because they was bored, they made an event, a social gathering event. This was like a American pastime at one point in time. As a matter of fact, lynching is how, the term picnic was derived. Picnic is short for pick a N-word to hang, if you didn't know. And then picnics that would take little, typically when you picnic, You take off from work, you take off from school, and they will all gather around the town hall and they will watch, a brother or a sister getting lynched. They will pack lunches, picnic cloth, sit down, eat their lunches, applaud as this, man or woman is taking their last gasp of air. Got them hanging from a tree until their neck snaps. This is why this is so disturbing. This is a throwback to that era, and it's happening more and more frequently across the United States, and of course, it's happening during election season. So you see why we need an anti-lynching bill. You see, they just passed the Asian hate bill, but we've been getting lynched for hundreds of years, and there's no anti-lynching bill yet. Or pardon me, it took so long to get passed. Now, yeah, they passed it during the, Biden administration, when Biden was at the helm. And of course, they had old girl speak on it. But we should have had that years ago. It's just like we don't have enough stuff just for us, just to keep our lives intact from attacks like this. And the people that do it are so cowardly. They don't do it in broad daylight. They wait, they skulk in the shadows. They hate us so much. They think we're so inferior to them, but they skulk around like cowards. They don't come out in broad daylight. They don't pick on people that's a physical match for them. Not saying this young man wasn't. He's a young, strong man, 22 years old. Not saying, but they usually prey on people weaker than them physically. They don't never pick on somebody that's a good physical match for them. Somebody they give them a good run for their money. They want to pick on physically the people in our community that are physically handicapped or frail body. They don't want to pick on no big brolicky brother. Or women, or they'll just straight up, if they can't find, they'll mess with one of our women. If you're so supreme, if you feel you're so superior, then why do y'all sit up there and unalive yourselves? Why don't you do the crime and then do the time? If you think you're that bad, or if you don't got that much regard for our lives, why do y'all, when y'all do it, then you want to commit suicide? If you're that bad, or you hate us that much, don't you think it'd be more impactful for your cause to take the jail time and say, yes, I did it unapologetically in front of the judge? But they take the coward's way out. They unalive each other. They do these mass shootings, and then they take themselves out. These mass shootings where they target our people, like in Buffalo, and then they take themselves out. So they don't have to go to jail afterwards. That's not a supreme. That's not somebody with a supreme mind state. That's somebody with a cowardly mind state. Somebody with a supreme mind state will be willing to deal with the supreme consequences for their actions. That's what they mean by standing on business. Way over my time limit, you guys. So I'm going to wrap things up with my last section. I just really wanted to just touch it, remix this topic. I'll probably do it again on my weekday upload of the Narrator podcast this week. Because we really gotta just, keep talking about this, as well as keep on talking about Sonya Massey and Roger Fortson and Devontae Jackson, my bad. But every time we hear about an unaliving like this, we have to use social media. We have to circulate the message, get this across. I'm not glad this happened, but I'm glad, his relative was using her social media account for something positive, because, it's being said that social media is making our people stupid. Because we do upload some pretty idiotic content, some buffoonish content that serves no purpose other than making us look foolish. But when situations like that happen, I thank the creator for social media, because we wouldn't know that it happened. It would get swept up underneath the rug, and no type of justice would get administered for that crime. It would just seep through the cracks. So, I also thank the creator for the invention of the camera phone, because before the invention of the camera phone, it'd be our word against the police officers. So, yeah. Justice for Javion, that's my speaking point of the day. And my final section is wise word of wisdom. And today's wise word of wisdom, it's really kind of self-explanatory. When I start doing these things, I was calling it word of the day. I kind of went back and forth with word of the day, and I forget all the other things I was calling it, but I'm sticking with time will reveal. So, the lyrics to that song is just basically like, everything in time will reveal itself. Like, he was singing about a relationship. But essentially, like, that's basically like for life too. Time will just tell you everything you need to know about all situations, like who and what's for you. People's true motives, because people can talk that talk and sound really good, but ultimately they'll break down and show their true nature, their true intent in one foul little swoop in time. Like mess around, slip up and say what they really think about you. You know, they'll slip up and say what they're really trying to get out of you. But it'll just happen in time. So, wise word of the day is time, and I'm definitely out of time. Because now is officially Sunday. This was supposed to be a Saturday upload of the Narrative Podcast, but I'm going to work on my timing, and I hope you guys join me next time for another episode of the Narrative Podcast. Join me this weekend for a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast. I didn't get to plug my two other projects. I'm plugging them now. I wrote a book of poetry titled The Black Card. It's available on poetizer.com. Poetizer.com has a virtual online bookstore. Go to their virtual online bookstore. Look for my title, The Black Card, written by me, Halzie Allen, Hallzie Allen, Allen. And go purchase it. What the Black Card is about, it's a 30-page book of poetry chronicling everything that we go through and experience as original people. All the nuances of our culture, both positive and negative, are depicted in the Black Card. You know, our eternal plight, our eternal struggle, our eternal plight, everything that comes with being black is chronicled in the Black Card. So, you know, you're guaranteed to love it. If you're an original man or an original woman, you're going to gravitate towards the Black Card. You know, it's just going to speak directly to your spirit. People outside of our culture, you guys can enjoy the Black Card too. You can use it as a tool to, you know, better familiarize yourself with our people. If you consider yourself open-minded or progressive, have a progressive attitude, like learn about different cultures, you'll definitely love the Black Card. It's, you know, it's a really good book, very creative, very powerful, witty, and insightful. You'll definitely love it. People outside of our culture, you can use this to teach your children if you're an educator, you know. And it just, it chronicles our people to a T. I'm not saying it captures every teeny tiny aspect of our people, but, you know, pretty much all the main things that we grapple with as a people are, you know, chronicled in the Black Card. So to purchase the Black Card, it's only available on one medium, poetizer.com. Go to their virtual online bookstore and purchase the Black Card today, or get your Black Card revoked. Next project I want to promote before getting up out of here is my poetry blog on blogger.com called hallziespoetrycorner. The tagline for that is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. When you read one of my poems, you'll find out why it's so, you know, important. Or when you read one of my poems, you'll find out how each one of them live up to that tagline. It's on blogger.com at www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And what that is it's a collection of my personal poetry. All the poems on Hallzies Poetry Corner are spontaneously written in the moment. You'll love each and every last one of them. You'll identify with all the poems posted on Hallzies Poetry Corner blog. They're abstract. They're very versatile. There's literally a poem on there for every instance in life. Like whatever you're going through in life, no matter, you know, what background you're from, what religion you are. There's guaranteed you're going to find a piece on there. You can identify with the first few lines of it or the piece in its entirety. It's going to speak to your soul. And again, I spontaneously wrote all of them in the moment. I didn't contemplate on the title. I didn't contemplate on the subject matter for the piece. I just wrote it. I didn't second guess anything. I just I went with the vibration, what I was feeling in that moment when I wrote it. I didn't even question what I was feeling. It just I don't even know how to describe it. Just something came over me when I wrote it and posted it on that blog site. It's like I wasn't even in control. The pieces were writing themselves. So yeah, a whole lot of this stuff ain't for me. It's definitely I don't know who each one of my pieces are for, but somebody's going through something and the universe is using me as a conduit to, be the window in somebody's world. That's how my art form works as a poet. So go check those out on blogger.com at www.mrhallziesblogs.com, and the way you support my poetry blog is to share the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner, which is www.mrhallziesblog.com, for a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. That's it and that's all. Thank you all for tuning in, listening, and supporting the Narrative Podcast. Join me next weekend for another full edition of the Narrative Podcast. I'm going to work on, uploading moderately. I believe I know what I'm doing now, right before I, start recording. So I'm going to cut that out, to get right down to business. So I should have a moderately timely upload of the Narrative Pod weekend edition, but I got the weekday ones pretty much flawlessly. Join me next weekend for another full episode of the Narrative Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. And also look out for me for random weekday episodes of the Narrative Podcast. And again, support Hallzies Poetry Corner by visiting the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner at www.mrhallziesblogs.com. Share the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. And then as well as leave me a comment in the comment section of Hallzies Poetry Corner. And then also to like, comment, and share. Keep it simple. I'm getting too long-winded. So join me next time for another episode of the Narrative Podcast episode. Peace, family. Take good care of yourselves. Take good care of your communities. Together we will change the narrative. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to help me change the narrative by becoming a narrator, and while I'm changing the narrative on my end one episode at a time, as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end one social media post at a time. Till next time, Halsey Allen and the Narrative Podcast signing off, and it's like that.
Make it burn.
Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.